Christmas Carol, Stave 1, in 5 minutes. Stave 1 is divided into 2 parts. Introduction to Scrooge and his behaviour in the counting house, and his encounter with Jacob Marley in his home. The first half of the stave establishes the character of Scrooge, as well as the key themes of Christmas, charity, and society. In the second half, the story proper begins, and the idea of the supernatural is introduced. The story opens with an example of foreshadowing, in the marvellous very first sentence, Marley was dead to begin with. Dickens then describes the key character of Ebenezer Scrooge. He is at pains to ensure that the reader has a clear understanding of what kind of horrible man Scrooge is. We'll have a closer look at this in the Scrooge character video. With this achieved, Dickens moves the action forward 7 years using a familiar phrase, once upon a time, to Scrooge at work. As with Macbeth, the number 3 is an important one in the novel. There are 3 Christmas ghosts, 3 deaths, and here 3 visitors who come to Scrooge's office door. Fred, the portly gentleman, and the carol singer. Each have a symbolic significance which are interconnected. Fred represents family and the true spirit of Christmas. The portly gentleman symbolizes charity and society, whilst the carol singer is representative of the poor and those in need. Scrooge roundly rejects all 3 in pretty emphatic terms. To Fred, he says that Christmas is a humbug, meaning that it's a trick or a fraud. To the portly gentleman, he unashamedly declares that the poor can go to prison, the workhouse, or die. And to the carol singer, he threatens an act of violence. Finally, there is Scrooge's treatment of his meek clerk, Bob Cratchit, whom he barely gives enough to survive, let alone thrive. A mere 15 shillings a week, barely any coal for heat, and a solitary candle for light and warmth. All these events will, literally, come to haunt Scrooge in the later chapters. We'll look more closely at Marley in the separate character video, but for now, we'll note how he acts as a dispatcher, as it is he who Dickens uses to initiate the story by telling Scrooge to change his ways or suffer the same fate as him, a kind of purgatory whereby he has to wander the earth in chains, unable to interfere in human affairs or to do any good. Scrooge's former business partner goes on to tell Scrooge that he will be haunted by 3 ghosts over the coming nights. As mentioned earlier, Marley's appearance is foreshadowed in the very first line of the book, and there are 3, there's that number again, further instances of the reader being prepared for his arrival, when Scrooge thinks he sees his face in the door knocker, the disused servant's bells beginning to ring, and the candle flaring up as the ghostly figure of Marley emerges through Scrooge's locked door. Some film versions also have Marley's face appearing in the fireplace tiles, but this is actually a misreading. Marley's entrance is also important, as it allows Dickens to introduce the supernatural to his tale. Moreover, it further establishes the key ideas he wanted his book to promote: the need for compassion, empathy, and social responsibility. Indeed, Marley explicitly states that mankind was my business, the common welfare was my business, charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. This, Dickens insists, applies as much to us as Marley or Scrooge. Predictably, Scrooge resists these ideas and goes to bed instead, bringing the first stave to its close.